Good morning everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you the method to create the self-discovery lockdown loaf. Okay, so this is a basic bread recipe, but inside we need to understand that it is our attitude towards the dough which can project a life of spirituality and success. The bread is only the vessel through which we will discover who we really are. Okay, so now we're going to understand what the bread really is. Okay, so we have the ingredients here as I usually do, and then we will go forth in towards the accoutrements and equipment necessary to provide the loaf. Okay, so here we are: olive oil, salt. This says 50% less sodium. Doesn't matter. Fast action dried yeast. Now, fast action. This is quite important you get fast action because the yeast needs to sort of, I think it reproduces in the bread, and fast action really makes it a good loaf. Okay, and then we have our bread flour over here. It's strong white, like myself. It's important that I left it over on the side there because it's got some flour on top of the outside, and I don't want to waste it because I'm kind of low on the flour, so I need it for dusting. I'm just being efficient here, really. Moving on to the equipment. See there, I got carried away. I did it again. Bring back to your centre. Tablespoon here. I know it's on the oven, but it's still a tablespoon. And a teaspoon. I understand there's no mug nearby, but it can still remain its identity as a teaspoon in the same way. If you are surrounded by mugs, okay, if you find your centre and maintain who you are, you will stay as your true self and not become one of them. Okay, baking tin here, X amount of diameter, I don't really know. Okay, and scales here, but not, this is, just make sure that you weighing scales, right? There are other scales on the planet, whether it be musical, fish-based scales. Very important we maintain that it's a measuring scale for masses. Actually weight is quite important. So anyway, we'll move on now to the mixing. Hey, I've walked towards the camera, stopped the video, and now started it again. So that was quite worth doing. So now all I'm going to do, I'm probably going to do this off camera because I'm trying to save camera space a little bit. 500 grams of flour, I can't remember, I think it's 2 teaspoons of salt. No, yes, I'm doing this from memory, and I looked at the recipe last week. And 1 dried action yeast sachet, like this, look, they look like this. So I'm going to put that in here. I'll just do it on camera, really. In shot, is it in shot, please? Dust that flour which I mentioned. Oh no, that's not nice because that's gone a bit dry and horrible. I know flour's meant to be dry, but it kind of, it had dough a bit. Oh, it was wrong, believe me. And then in we go with the flour. Now we're got to make sure it's on 0, Alfie. That's a good start. 500 grams. Come on, come on. Okay, that's 1. That's not what. That's 50. Come on, don't waste my time. Whoa. Okay, that's 200. Probably covering the important images here with my torso, and then we're going to get up to 50 grams. There we are. As I said, now I'm going to put the salt and the thing in there, and then we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now that's got the salt, yeast and flour in. That's 2 teaspoons of salt, like this one. Maybe could be called a salt spoon. And then I'll stop with the spoon related jokes in a minute. And then we've got the yeast in there, the sachet here, look, it's empty now. Use scissors to cut that open across the top there. Oh no, my camera's low on battery. Shit. Okay, so I'm going to do this really quickly. What you need to do now is you need to make a little well in the middle like this. You've got to make a well as deep as you can. You've got to make so much of a well that by the end of it you sort of think, actually I've not really made a well. There's just a hole and there's no more flour left, like that. That's a good well. You can't really tell. Oh god, I'm Blind Willie McTell. Oh, look at that. Blind Willie McTell is a blues musician. He was a singer. I've lost my centre. And we enter the water into this well. This is 300 millilitres of water, which I forgot to mention earlier. And then I believe it's 3 tablespoons of olive oil. This may be totally wrong, but I'm quite happy to fail. And that's why I've been successful. I haven't really been successful, but I like to think I have. And we put that in there. That's 2, and then a third. And then I'm going to mix it really quickly off camera and find my centre again. Okay, need to cut the video. Okay, now this is the cathartic and fun bit. You mix it all together into like a dough. It may take a minute, and you do this for a little bit, like that. This is how bread's made. This is not what Mr. Warburton's or Hovis does all day. I believe he has robots but I'm not. I just do my thing, do it myself. And I'm going to do this for a little bit until it's a dough, and then maybe take some photos. I just don't want this to run out of battery, you know. Also earlier I appreciate I rhymed tell with tell, but I actually sort of rhymed McTell with tell, so it's slightly different. I'll be back when this is a dough. Okay, so now this is the kneading process. I've actually been doing this for about 8 minutes at this point. And it was going sort of all, its bread was far too sticky for the majority of the time, but since like the last 30 seconds it's really come together, which is a lovely part of the thing. Now we need to, oh, I nearly dropped it. We need to think about how we, oh, nearly dropped it again, oh, and how we can come together. Just like this dough, all these different ingredients of different shapes, sizes, viscosities, and how can we form one homogenized dough which can be stretched and changed into any shape we like to fill and get stronger and bigger and more useful together. I'm not really sure, I haven't got answers. I just make the dough and be silly in front of the camera, but you know, it's quite important to think about. And yeah, that's what we can work on. What have I discovered about myself so far? So far I've discovered I have quite low patience. It says you can tell by how angled this board is to where it was, which was perfectly square. I mean, this thing has been flying around. I've sort of been going like that by accident multiple times. I've knocked the olive oil over. Luckily I don't think any spilt. But I just need to take a chill pill, man. I think would help me out quite a lot. Anyway, now I'm gonna leave it to, look at that, perfect example, leave it to rest for a little bit. So yeah, I think that's the kneading finished. Just wanna knead it more, man. It's so satisfying. But I'm probably gonna, your dough's over kneaded actually, so that's what's caused it to have such a discrepancy. That's the kind of shit I hear when I think I'm overdoing it. Alright, there we are, finished.
The baker now diligently reads his quantum physics book, whilst calmly nurturing the dough with his bodily warmth.
Okay, so the dough's been resting now for about an hour and 25 minutes, slightly over-proved, and we need to make sure that during this period I've recharged the camera, I've sort of found my inner peace, and it's really important that we understand that although in the last few clips I was obviously getting a bit rushed and there was a lot going on due to the lack of camera battery, and it was a quite chaotic time with this slab of wood, wow, I'm really zoomed in, dashing all over the surface top. Wow, you must have been up my nose. Hope I didn't have any hair. And but now we've come back and I went for a walk and I'm ready. So now all we have to do is called knocking back the dough. This is a very brief process, and there it is, and I'm going to put it back on your little mound and we'll be back in just a moment. Okay. During this proving time I believe the yeasts were reproducing. I hope that's what they should have been doing. I hope they weren't wearing, oh wait, I need to punch. This is where you knock back the dough, I think, if I remember correctly from the recipe. You see how it, wow, it just retracts like a cold ball sack, and that goes back in on there, and then all you're meant to do is fold it in on itself. So I'm going to attempt to do so. Fold it back in on itself like that, sort of, and then turn it back to a ballish lump, and there we are. Wow, this is very, I'm just going to sort of do that. I want it to be quite smooth because it looks nicer. Alright. Come on. There we go, nice and smooth. That was actually quite sharp. Alright, now we just prove it again for another hour. So I mean, this isn't exactly, you know, high octane, fast and furious. This is calm, collected, and self-discovery bread making. Okay, I'm going to put it back in the baking tin, which you can't see. Wait, I can kick you around a bit. Ooh. Could have also moved the bread tin, which would have been smarter. I don't like how lumpy it is, how irregular it is, but I'm going to accept that. Now it just waits there for another hour. Okay, that sounded quite aggressive, and I'm not proud of that. So we're going to bring it back down, and I've discovered that I'm irritated by tedious, lengthy, and sort of uninteractive, extensive, long, unnecessary periods of time where I wait for microorganisms who I hope aren't wearing mittens, because it's quite difficult to reproduce in mittens, so I hope that they're not, otherwise my bread will be quite flat. Hopefully the yeast are naked, all of them, every single one. Maybe they can have socks on, that's up to them really. It's going to be okay. I'm just going to cover it up and we'll be back in another hour. Okay, so now we have the exciting task of preheating the oven. This is one which I'm sure you'll be able to do at home. It's one element of the baking process which I think any amateur can get by with without any sort of prior knowledge, or you don't need to watch a tutorial, although this of course is going to help you nonetheless. So here we are, so I'll just move the camera around, just making sure I can see there. And this is my oven, it's clean, I've done all the washing up and everything. And now, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to this knob, and on the far left, yours may be different. And this is called preheating, because you're heating the oven prior, so pre means before, you put the bread in the oven. And I can't remember actually how much I meant to do. I can't even see the highest numbers worn off on my oven, I can't read it, but I'm just going to put it like around there, more than 200, something like that. And then the bread has now 10 minutes left before it's finished doing its little growing. Shall we do a little update on that now? Okay, so the bread's just been calmly sat on this chair. I gave it a little Game Boy to play with. Wow, look at that, that looks quite nice, and it does look quite round and curved. It's a bit uneven, but I think that's okay, nothing's perfect. You can tell that I've really adjusted to this sort of finding yourself thing, because just then I proved that I wasn't expecting perfection, which is maybe something at the start that I was expecting and desiring and chasing perfection, and I was disappointed when the board started sliding. I was aggravated by the stickiness of the dough, which was actually mainly off camera because I couldn't record how sticky the dough was because my hands were so covered in dough that I wouldn't be able to operate my little camera over here. I'm proud, I've clearly come a long way, and I hope you have enjoyed this journey with me. Some flour on the lens. And you have progressed yourself. This isn't all about me, it's about us. As I said, the homogenized, the total oneness of the loaf of bread signifies all the little ingredients. All of us together are benefiting. So the bread will now be entering the oven with my help, but first I need to do a little knife thing. Ow, I cut myself. On the top, I'm just going to do a... Oh man, my knife's way too blunt, but I'm going to try and do a little line. I'm going to line that. Should I just do one line? No, I need to do two. Okay, so now that's going to go in the oven for as long as I feel like... Ah, shit. Oh, language. There's a tray in there, which I don't... Oh! That's now been preheating for... Smooth. Sorry, that was quite discoordinated. So that'll be in there for about half an hour. Yeah, half an hour. My girl, don't lie. Oh man, I'm going where there's gold. Give it a listen. Oh, you guys can't see it. Maybe you can. Da, 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 da. It didn't go up that much. I think it's done. Oh yeah, it should be done. Now we're just going to leave it in there for a little bit, and then, ouch. Yeah. At the end, I'll cut it. I'll be back in 15 minutes, and then I'll get. I mean, the cross hatchings haven't turned out optimally. It'll be alright. Okay, finally, it's now cooled. It's been, why is there water in there? Many hours. Gee, it's way shorter than the last one I made, and more wet. Oh no, what have I done? It's not that tall. No, anyway, it's been about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. It's been about almost 4 hours since I first started. I'm gonna cut it. Please be nice. Oh, there's a bit of a cross section for you. Bit of butter on there. I didn't think that making a bread tutorial would be so arduous. It's taken a lot out of me. There we are, a bit of butter on the bread there. It's so nice.